All right, so day 3 now of the media trying to rewrite history for Kamala Harris. Issue of the day: Kamala Harris never bailed out rioters in Minnesota. Yeah, okay. All right, some local junk CBS station put this up. Trump falsely accuses Harris of donating to Minnesota Freedom Fund, bailing out dangerous criminals. And Community Notes, once again, swoop in for the win and reminded us, and this gem is still up on Kamala Harris's Twitter account, if you're able to chip in the Minnesota Freedom Fund to help post bail for those protesting on the ground in Minnesota. Those were riots that were burning down cities. Look, Kamala Harris actually, did she donate money to this thing out of her own pocket? Probably not, because liberals never actually put their money behind these radical causes. They just go on their stump and they call for other people to put their hard-earned money into it. But to Trump's point, if you really want to get technical with this in the donation world, a tweet, especially one from the then VP candidate, to millions of people is called an in-kind donation. Totally quantifiable, by the way, for the uptick in donations in the immediate aftermath of said tweet. So yes, CBS, she did effectively donate to them. You're wrong. Again. And talk about the standard of journalism in the toilet at CBS. I mean, look, at least see if the woman that you're defending still has her own tweet up that makes you look like a fool. You see why people in the media see why people in the public don't trust the media? The media whines about people. Oh, the American people should trust us. Why don't they believe us anymore? You know, I go to the gym or I go out somewhere and someone like stops me and says, hey, Carl, I love your show. You're one of the few people I can trust in the media. And like, look, I really genuinely appreciate that. It's also really scary that like all the people making way more money than me, like combined billions of dollars in media, and me, the guy with no college education who basically tripped and fell and ended up in front of a camera by accident, that guy is the one you trust? I mean, I appreciate it, but it doesn't say much for the other networks out there, but justified. Kamala Harris, the prosecutor, the former DA, and the Attorney General of California, was bailing people out for burning down cities, and at the same time now is the woman who's literally running as her campaign slogan this.
Kamala Harris is a prosecutor. She made her career as a prosecutor. Donald Trump is a convicted felon.
She is a prosecutor running against a felon.
Cute from my Senator Chris Murphy, who's been wrong about everything. She was one of the loudest voices in the Defund the Police movement.
So this whole movement is about rightly saying we need to take a look at these budgets and figure out whether it reflects the right priorities.
In fact, so was her now comms director. Like right there, defund the police. You can't be any clearer than that, Brian Fallon. This is the most clear message, by the way, that has ever come out of a campaign to date. Why can't they make all their talking points that direct, Brian? But now they're saying, no, she was never part of that. But she was. Check this headline out. Kamala Harris evolving stance on defund the police. Why is it when Democrats change their position, it's called evolving, but when Republicans do it, they call it flip-flopping or lying or anything? And if that wasn't bad enough, too, perhaps the best fact check to date I have ever seen is by the failing New York Times covering Elise Stefanik, who said, quote, to Biden's violent crime crisis fueled by Democrats, pro-criminal sanctuary cities, and defund the police policies like we have seen in my home state of New York. And the New York Times, they called it a fact check, was dead wrong. They said, this misleading federal statistic shows that overall violent crime has been declining, not increasing, according to the data compiled by the FBI. The rate of violent crime dropped in 2020. Oh, really? Did it? Did it, New York Times? Because other data, they keep going on. This says other data suggests it declines in certain violent crime categories, too. I'm like blown my mind on this stuff because this is what you're going to go with, New York Times? Crime is not down. Ask any major retailer, anyone who lives in these major cities where crime is actually up. The reason the FBI statistics show that crime is down, though, is because, drum roll please, as the article says, thousands of police agencies have stopped reporting crime data to the FBI in the last 4 years. It's really strange how that worked out, huh? I'm sure it's just a total coincidence under Democrat-funded police that the police would just stop reporting to the FBI. I mean, this is par for the course, though. This is all part of this giant gaslighting scheme. The media is just running air cover for Kamala Harris because they were counting on it. Look, Kamala Harris bailed out rioters and defunded the police and now is running as a prosecutor against a felon, which is such a cute little tagline that I'm sure somebody got a promotion for. Launching her campaign on RuPaul's drag show. This whole campaign is literally like a really bad episode of Veep written by the Babylon Bee. South Park episodes are more serious than this woman. You know what? She's like a 60-year-old AOC. It hit me this morning. Her mannerisms, I was watching some clip on Twitter, and just her mannerisms and her ideological, completely corrupt moral compass, exact same.
Do you see any parallels?
I do not see any parallels between
I'm talking about perception.
officers and agents.
I'm talking about perception.
I do not see a parallel between what is constitutionally mandated as it relates to enforcing the law.
Are you aware
protecting
that there's a
people's rights.
perception?
I see no.
Are you aware that there's a
that puts
perception?
ICE in the same category as the KKK? Is that what you're asking me?
She sat up there, used her whole time questioning that guy as the Border Patrol to the KK. This is the woman who's running to be the president of the United States, and she just called a bunch of law enforcement officers who get shot at, they deal with deadly drugs, and they chase down criminals who break our laws. They do a constitutionally mandated duty, and Kamala Harris calling them the KKK. She has zero issue with being like this crazy radical ideologue, and she has absolutely no convictions in her position. She doesn't actually care about migrants. You want to know how I know? She freaked out when red state governors bust some of those same migrants that she's so fond of to her D.C. residents. I love this CNN headline. Look at this. On Christmas in freezing weather. Look at that. Oh, well, why didn't you invite them into your house, Kamala? Probably for the same reason you don't donate any of your own money to the Minnesota bailout fund, but ask everybody else to. These people don't practice what they preach. Here's your virtues you should embrace, peasants, while I reside behind my walls with my armed security. Give me a break. What a joke. This is unbelievable. Mocking her is becoming a trend on social media. And it's funny, but this is why you can't let her anywhere near the White House. The same people, by the way, telling you Kamala Harris is some great candidate and is going to be the next president are the same ones that 3 weeks ago told us that Joe Biden was totally fine. Keep that in mind before you believe anything else they say.